Hi, 5th grade mathers. So you are not in the wrong video. Don't turn this off. Don't go running away. Don't go calling Miss Jessica. You sent the wrong video. Don't worry, you're in the right video. I'm going to be your substitute math teacher for a couple of lessons while Miss Jessica is getting better. Please feel free to call me, message me, whatever you need, if you need videos or anything like that. We are talking about fractions and subtracting with fractions, even more specifically, subtracting with fractions that don't have the same denominator and you need to borrow. Now I know that there's a lot of steps that we're going to be going through today. Just hang in there, okay? You can do it. I have complete faith in you, okay? Let's show Miss Jessica how well you can do these fractions, okay? Don't you want to surprise her when she is able to be back checking your work, how well you know how to do this stuff? I think you do. All right, so let's get started. We're on page 101, so you need to have that out in front of you. You are only doing page 101 today. Tomorrow we will do 102, but today is 101. So just 101 today, please. Okay, so we are going to get started with subtraction with borrowing. Before you can borrow when you are subtracting, your fractions have to have the same denominator. So that seems to always be the rule, right? Whenever you want to do anything with your fractions as far as addition or subtraction, you have to have the same denominator for your fraction. So that's exactly what we're going to start with. With any subtraction or addition problem with our fractions, we start by getting fractions that have the same denominator, okay? So here I have 6 1/2 minus 4 3/4. I'm going to start by changing my fractions so that they have the same denominator. I'm going to put equals 6 and a fraction bar for my new fraction, 4 fraction bar for my new fraction. All right, my denominators are 2 and 4. What is their least common denominator? That's the first thing we have to find, is the least common denominator. So that's the least common multiple. Well, the first multiple of 2 is 2. That's too small for 4, so that's not a common multiple. The next multiple of 2 is 4. 4 is a multiple of 2. 4 is also a multiple of 4. That's their least common multiple. So that's going to be our new denominator. All right. Now I have to change my numerators so that they match. Now I'm not sure exactly how Miss Jessica explains this to you. I explain it this way, that we go just like this. We go over and around to get to our new numerator. So I start here with the 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Times 1 is 2. So that's my new numerator. So I divide 4 divided by 2 times 1 is 2. So I just go around bloop, and get back to my numerator. All right? If that confuses you at all, if you prefer the way that Miss Jessica does it with you, you are certainly welcome to do that. Okay? This one is nice and easy. My denominator didn't change, so neither did my numerator. Now I can subtract. 2 minus 3. Wait a second. 2 is smaller than 3, so I have to borrow. I'm going to borrow from my 6, leaves me with 5. The one that I borrowed, I change into a fraction. I'm going to choose the fraction that'll have a matching denominator with the fractions that I'm subtracting. So that would be a fraction with a denominator of 4. And for the fraction to equal 1, the numerator has to be the same as the denominator. So this is 5 and 4 over 4. I know you may not be able to see that very well. 4 over 4. So I add my numerator. So this becomes 5 and 4 plus 2 is 6 over 4 equals 4 and 3/4. This particular fraction didn't change. Now I can finally subtract. 6 minus 3 is 3. My denominator does not change. 5 minus 4 is 1. So my answer, 1 and 3/4. That was letter A, of exercise 1 in your book. We're going to do letters A, B, C, and F together. You have to do letters D and E on your own. All right, let's look at letter B. 9 and 3/4 minus 5 and 7/8. First things first, I need to change my fractions so they have a common denominator. What would be the least common denominator for 4 and 8? What's their least common multiple? Well, the first multiple of 8 is 8. Is 8 a multiple of 4? Yes, it is. So that's the one. Now I'm going to change my numerators to match my new denominators. I divide. 8 divided by 4 is 2. Now I multiply. 3 times 2 is 6. It's my new numerator. Here, my denominator didn't change, so neither does my numerator. I can't subtract yet because 7 is bigger than 6. So I have to borrow. I'm going to borrow from the 9. What does that leave me with? Leaves me with 8. Good. And the one that I borrowed, I changed into a fraction with a matching denominator, so that would be an 8. Excuse me. My numerator has to be the same, so it's also 8. All right, so I bring over my 8, my whole number. I add my fractions. 8 plus 6 is 14. Keep my denominator the same. It's an 8. Bring over 5 and 7/8 because that didn't change. Then I subtract. 14 minus 7 is 7. My denominator stays the same at 8. 8 minus 5 is 3. So 3 and 7/8 is my final answer. All right, let's try C together. 16 and 8/15 minus 9 and 4/5. First things first, let's change our fractions so they have the same denominator. So I'll bring over my 16 equals, or my 16 and then my 9. What's the least common multiple of 15 and 5? Well, the lowest multiple of 15 is 15. Is 15 also a multiple of 5? Yes, it is. So that's the smallest multiple. So that would be our new denominator. Okay. Well, this fraction didn't change because the denominator didn't change. So that's nice. This one does though. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 3 times 4 is 12. Can I subtract or do I need to borrow? That's right, I need to borrow. So I'm going to borrow from my 16. That leaves me with 15. My new fraction is going to have the denominator of 15 and a numerator to match, 15. Then I add it together with this fraction that's left. 8 plus 15 is 23. So I have 23 over 15 equals 9 and 12 over 15. All right, now I subtract. Excuse me one moment. I have a message on my phone, so here we go. Okay. 23 minus 12 is 11. Very good. Over 15. 15 minus 9 is 6. So I have 6 and 11/15. All right, now we're going to skip over D and E. That doesn't mean you can skip them on your paper. You still have to do D and E. You're just doing them by yourself. D and E are very small. You got this, okay? So you're going to do D and E by yourself, but let's go down and do F together. I have 391 and 1/6 minus 187 and 2/3. Don't panic, okay? I know this looks big, but don't panic. You got this, okay? Let's start with our fraction. We have 1/6 and 2/3. We have to change these fractions so that they have the same denominator. What would be the least common denominator for 6 and 3? Well, let's check the multiples of 6. 6 is the smallest multiple of 6. Is it also a multiple of 3? Yes, because 3 times 2 is 6. So that's my least common multiple, or my least common denominator. There we go. All right, so my top fraction doesn't change. It stays 1/6 because my denominator didn't change. Down here it did. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Times 2 is 4. Uh-oh, smaller on the top than it is on the bottom, so I gotta borrow. I'm gonna borrow from my 391, it becomes 390. That one that I borrow, its denominator needs to match, so it needs to be 6. So the numerator also needs to be 6. So I'm left with 390. 6/6 plus 1/6 is 7/6 equals 187 and 4/6. Okay, I'm gonna kind of adjust my chair. All right, there we go. So now I can subtract. 7 minus 4 is 3 over 6. Okay, then I have my whole number that I'm going to subtract from. You cannot subtract 7 from 0. I have to borrow. So I'm going to borrow from the 9, leaves me with 8, and this becomes a 10. 10 minus 7 is 3. 8 minus 8 is 0. 3 minus 1 is 2. Now I'm not quite done this time. I need to check my fraction to see if it can be reduced. Can I reduce 3/6? Sure can. 3/6 becomes Well, what's their greatest common factor of 3 and 6? 3, very good. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So really this is 203 and 1/2 for your final answer. Let me know if you have any questions, if you need me to do a video with you to help you with that at all. All right, number 2 says reduce quickly. So reduce those fractions very, very quickly. Number 3 says divide and check. So let's do one of those. All right, let's talk through your division to kind of give you a review because I know it's been a while since you've done these. So I have 932,605 divided by 37. This is letter A of exercise 3, okay? So I start with my front number, that 3. That's what I'm going to use to estimate how many times I can divide my number. But I have to look at the number behind it. If that number is 5 or greater, then I round it up. If it's 4 or less, I keep it the same. What number is that? 7. Well, that's greater than 5, so I'm going to round up and use 4 when I estimate instead of 3. Now 37, can that be divided into 9? Nope, that's too small. 93? Yes, so that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to divide 93 by 37, but I'm going to use 4 to estimate. How many times can 4 go into 9? 2, right? That's as close as I can get without going over 9. 2 times 4 is 8. If I said 3, well, 3 times 4 is 12, and that's bigger than 9. So I'm going to use 2. Now I multiply, but I multiply by my real number. 2 times 7 is 14, carry my 1. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Now I subtract. I have to borrow. This becomes 8, and this becomes 13. 13 minus 4 is 9. 8 minus 7 is 1. All right. Is 19 less than 37? Yes, it is, so I can bring down my 2. 37 into 192. I'm going to use my 4 to estimate. How many times can 4 go into 19 without going over? 4, very good. So I'll put my 4 over the 2. And I'll multiply now. 4 times 37. 4 times 7 is 28. Carry my 2. 4 times 3 is 12. Plus 2 is 14. All right, now I subtract. Oops. I get 12 minus 8 is 4. 8 minus 4 is, whoops, I almost said 8. 8 minus 4 is 4. And 1 minus 1 is 0. Now I compare. Is 44 less than 37? No, it's not. So that means that I have to change something. I have to try a bigger number up here. That's why we call it estimating, because sometimes we have to change our guess and we have to try something else. So I'm going to try a 5 this time. 5 times 7 is 35, carry my 3. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 3 is 18. And now I subtract. I have to borrow again, leaves me with 8, and this becomes 12. 12 minus 5 is 7. 8 minus 8 is 0. 1 minus 1 is 0. So I'm left with just 7. Is that less than 37? Yes, it is. All right, I'm going to put a comma here so I don't forget it and move on. I'm going to bring down my 6. Whoops, that line's not very straight. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, now 4 into 7. About how many times? Well, actually, we can save ourselves time because we know that 2 times 37 is 74, which is smaller than 76, so we know that will work. 2 times 37 is 74. 76 minus 74 is 2. All right, is 2 less than 37? Yes, it is, so I can bring down my 0. 37 into 20. Can I divide 20 by 37? No, because 20 is bigger than 37. So since I can't divide it, I have to put a big fat 0 up here over that number. Then I can bring down my 5. But if I don't put that 0, I would have the wrong answer, so make sure you put that 0. Okay, I'm going to use my 4 to estimate. 4 goes into 20, how many times? 5. So I'm going to use 5 as my guess. I already multiplied 5 by 37, and I got 185, so I'll write that same number down here. Less math work for my head to do. 5 minus 5 is 0. Oops, I have to borrow here. 10 minus 8 is 2. 1 minus 1 is 0, so I'm left with 20 as my remainder. Now your problem says to check. So to check, I write my answer, 25,205. I multiply it by my divisor, 37. And I'm going to let you do this part. You're going to multiply it, you're going to add that all together, and you're going to get an answer. Then you take your remainder and you add it to your answer. So you add 20 to the answer you get when you multiply. That answer needs to match right here, okay? If it does, you did your problem correctly. Let me know if you need any help, any extra videos, or anything to go with this concept.